Candyman. Candyman.
The trailer for the new film Candyman, written by Jordan Peele, has horror fans excited. The film is being described as a spiritual sequel to 1992's Candyman. But what's the big deal?
Candyman is one of the scariest horror movies, like in the top 10 scary horror movies for a lot of horror fans, including me. Just as an example, even though I'm a very grown woman, I will not say Candyman into a mirror 5 times.
Tananarive Due is an author and producer who teaches at UCLA. She says the original Candyman
left a huge imprint on those of us who've seen it. It is a very well-acted film. Tony Todd especially brings Candyman to almost a level of sort of a Shakespearean tragic anti-hero. The cinematography is fantastic. The score is fantastic. And it is a really, really scary urban legend. This idea that you can invite evil into your house and invite violence onto yourself by just saying a name 5 times in a mirror.
Candyman.
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 Some people might know the urban legend Bloody Mary, which is very similar if you say that name several times. But Candyman was originally from a short story called The Forbidden by Clive Barker. And it was a very different iteration of Candyman. It was set in the UK. Candyman was white. He had never been subject to racism or the effects of slavery like Candyman as we know it. So that story was centered mostly around the idea of the urban legend. And when Bernard Rose, the director and screenwriter, decided to adapt this Clive Barker story, he moved it to the US, and instead of looking at a class divide, which was the original short story, it became about race.
Due says the 1992 version has its issues.
It's walking a very delicate line racially. It wants to have an impact and make a message about unfair housing and look at this terrible housing project, Cabrini Green. It brings up all these conversations, but it also brings up some imagery that is kind of old school and troubling, like the black man chasing after the beautiful white woman, which is an old image that harkens back to the beginning of cinema with D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation in 1950. Even at the time, there were obviously some filmmakers and viewers who thought that the emphasis on how dirty Cabrini Green is and how scary the black men are in the whole film, you know, not just Candyman, but basically almost all of the black men, except for maybe there's a police officer, but it's not a good look. And there are a lot of ways you can tell that Candyman was sort of created for a white audience in a way that I think will be different in the 2020 spiritual sequel, as it's called.
The urban legend is, if you say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, he appears in the reflection and kills you.
I think that today's political times will also demand a new look at Candyman as a film not primarily, it would seem, shot for a white audience, but a film that's really shot for everyone, including black audiences. Is Candyman real? Well, I'm not going to be the one to say his name 5 times in the mirror to find out. Why don't you find out if Candyman is real? Technically, Candyman probably isn't real, but my attitude is, why take a chance?
This is InsideEdition.com.